Hi there, lovely people, and greetings all the way from sunny Mauritius. My name is Silvano, and I bumped into ICV at the turn of the millennium during a webcast production for a UN Open Day in Geneva. At the time, I was in charge of CERN's multimedia production unit, and amongst other things, we were pioneering webcasting. So at the end of this UN event, this skinny blonde approaches me asking if I could help her NGO webcast their conferences. I replied that I had too much on my plate, I was too busy with CERN events, and I had no time to spare. Little did I know, Viola does not take no for an answer. And she can be very, very persuasive. So before I realized, I found myself producing more events for ICV than for CERN. But the real adventure came with the 2003 Summit on the Information Society. Viola hatches a plan to shoot a whole documentary in Africa. 1 month, zero budget, as usual. Off I went, camera in the bag, on a plane to the car, with a very precise and detailed script. Just follow me and film. The plan, a 30 minutes report on the social-cultural impact of the internet in West Africa, from the cities to rural areas. So I start with sidewalk interviews in the car, and I venture downtown with a production crew made of 2 volunteer Nigerian guys that Viola had found. With my crew behind me, I approached passerbys to ask if they had used the internet and how did they feel about it. But my questions were cut short because my interviewees flew away terrorized like they'd seen a ghost. Though I thought I was pretty good looking at the time. Soon enough, I realized that the Senegalese are scared of Nigerians, so that one wasn't the ideal crew to go filming around a car. Finally, dressed like Lawrence of Arabia and Nefertiti, Viola and I jumped into a UN volunteer jeep and embarked on a 3 weeks road trip adventure, Dakar to Timbuktu. Now, filming development projects along the road was fascinating, but once we arrived in Timbuktu, my destiny was waiting on 4 legs. The camel. This camel was actually a dromedary, a kind of budget camel with just 1 hump. The brilliant plan was for Viola to ride ahead on 2 other camels with our Tuareg friend Shinduk. Salam alaikum Shinduk, wherever you are. So off they trotted, talking about computers, cyber cafes, the Millennium Development Goals, as you do on a camel. While I followed, camera on shoulder, on another camel. Here's the thing. Camels don't exactly walk in a straight line. They move more like a drunk sailor on a sailboat in a storm. All over the place. Plus, holding onto anything was out of the question because both my hands were occupied holding and controlling this massive TV camera. Long story short, I ended up filming the sky, the sand, the camels, had everything except Viola and Shinduk. Finally, I decided the car was a much steadier platform to film from, and I tried to dismount. Big mistake number 2. Rather than gracefully kneeling, the horrible beast decided to throw me skywards, bleating like a particularly grumpy catapult. Brrr. Obviously, my camelese wasn't good enough, and I must have mistaken get down command with eject. I landed with a thud that would make Spider-Man wince, and discovered the joy of a hard sand and a very, very sore back. Nevertheless, heroically I soldiered on, filming in excruciating pain from the car. We finally reached a Tuareg tent in the evening, but the car had to go back to look for Viola and Shinduk, who were unaccounted for in the middle of the desert. So they had to leave me lifelessly sprawled on the sand like a dead Lawrence of Arabia. And guess what? That day was my birthday. Alone in the desert, almost paralyzed, in the dark. No cake, no champagne. All I had was the camera. So, for consolation, I filmed a happy birthday message to myself. Sure enough, that little accident gave me a chance to experience firsthand Tuareg orthopedics. I felt like I had broken my pelvis, so Dr. Shinduk used this turban, he passed it around my waist, and with a branch he made a tourniquet and squeezed my pelvis together with the force of a stone crusher. I ended up with a waist that would make Kim Kardashian grin with envy. The next day, they took me to the Timbuktu hospital where a Cuban doctor gave me an X-ray and reassured me. No broken bones, just a few nerves shattered. The return trip was a 16-hour Paris-Dakar style rally on a bumpy truck, which gave my sore back a final blow. But hey, that trip did have its bright side. Seeing the IT challenges Africa was facing sparked an idea. So back in Geneva, I joined forces with Viola to create the NGO Informaticiens Sans Frontières to develop solutions to the digital divide. Together with ICV, we shipped refurbished computers to Africa, pre-installed with our own friendly Linux distribution, making technology more accessible and free. We also collaborated with universities on an African project called the African Computing Grid, and another one, Malaria Control, a project to forecast malaria outbursts by donating computing power from some 10,000 computers volunteered around the planet. Now, happily retired in Mauritius, I raise my glass to ICV for 25 years of incredible work. May you keep reshaping a brighter future for the world, one project at a time. Just maybe avoid camels next time.